This is a story about technology, but more than that, it's about labor, fairness, and who owns the work we create. For years, a handful of tech giants have shaped our digital world, but there's always been another side. Communities of volunteers building open source software for the collective good. Open source has been a lifeline for women and marginalized groups in tech, offering a space to learn, collaborate, and let their work speak for itself. But what happens when powerful AI systems are trained on this collective labor and then sold back to us as proprietary products? This isn't hypothetical. It's happening now, raising urgent questions about ownership and consent in the digital age. When a woman spends her nights contributing to open source, she's not just writing code, she's investing in her future and her community. If AI models scrape that labor without respecting the rules, it devalues her contribution and threatens the ecosystem that gave her a foothold. We'll explore what happened when a popular AI reused code protected by the GPL license, why that license matters, and why this fight is especially critical for women in tech. It's about protecting our labor, demanding respect for our contributions, and having a say in how our digital world is built. This is a fight for the soul of technology. The stakes are high, not just for coders, but for anyone who believes in fairness and community. The open source movement is more than code. It's a vision for a more equitable tech future. When that vision is threatened, we all have something to lose. This story is about reclaiming our voice and our rights in the digital age. Let's dive in, because this is about all of us. AI coding assistants have exploded in popularity, promising to make programming faster and more accessible. But soon after their release, developers noticed something troubling. The AI was generating code that was sometimes identical to existing open source projects. In some cases, it even reproduced the original comments, personal notes and jokes left by the human authors. This wasn't learning, it was copying. The AI was outputting large chunks of code from projects protected by the GNU General Public License, or GPL. The GPL requires that any project using its code must also be open source and share its changes. But the AI was offering up this protected code without the license or attribution. This discovery sent shockwaves through the open source community. The very tool meant to help developers was undermining the legal and ethical foundations of open source. It felt like a betrayal, a powerful company taking from a community without giving back. This wasn't just a technical glitch, it was a violation of trust. Developers realized their collective work was being mined for profit, with no respect for the rules that kept their ecosystem fair. The open source world depends on reciprocity and respect. When that's broken, everyone loses. The question now, how do we protect what we've built? The GPL isn't just a license, it's a shield for the digital commons. Created to keep software open and free, the GPL uses copyright law to ensure that code remains accessible to all. Its core rule: if you use GPL code, your project must also be GPL, sharing your source code with the community. This share-alike principle prevents corporations from taking open work, closing it off, and profiting without giving back. For women and marginalized developers, the GPL is crucial. It protects their unpaid labor and ensures it contributes to a public good. When AI models reproduce GPL code in closed products, they break this social and legal contract. It's not just a technical violation, it's an ethical one. The foundation of trust and reciprocity that built open source is at risk. Without the GPL, the digital commons could be stripped for profit, leaving contributors with nothing. The license is more than legalese. It's the backbone of a fair, collaborative tech world. Defending it means defending the future of open, equitable technology. That's why this matters. Developers didn't just suspect the AI was copying, they proved it. Using diff tools, they compared AI-generated code to open-source originals and found line-for-line matches. The AI even reproduced quirky comments, unique variable names, and copyright notices, clear evidence it was regurgitating training data. One infamous case involved code from the game Quake 3 Arena. complete with the original author's colorful commentary. This was the digital equivalent of a smoking gun. The AI wasn't creating, it was copying, sometimes including the GPL license header itself. These findings spread quickly online, with developers worldwide documenting a systemic pattern. The AI had been trained on massive datasets with no regard for code licenses. The digital fingerprints were everywhere, exposing the myth of AI as a creative partner. Instead, it was acting like a search engine with a copy-paste function. This wasn't innovation, it was appropriation. The evidence was undeniable. The community demanded answers and action. The fight was just beginning. When confronted, AI companies claimed their models learn like humans. But that's a myth. Human learning is complex. We synthesize, understand context, and respect rules. A programmer who studies GPL code knows the license and community expectations. When she writes new code, she applies concepts, not just copies text. AI, on the other hand, is a pattern-matching machine. It statistically predicts the next word based on its training data, not understanding or creating. That's why it can reproduce code verbatim, including comments and license headers. Calling this learning is marketing spin. It hides the reality that AI can copy at a scale no human could. This isn't learning, it's laundering, taking licensed data in, outputting unlicensed data, and dodging responsibility. By anthropomorphizing AI, companies avoid legal and ethical accountability. But AI is not a person. It's a product built for profit. The difference matters, especially when it comes to respecting creators' rights. We can't let clever metaphors excuse exploitation. The rules exist for a reason. It's time to enforce them. The debate over AI and GPL code is about power. Who benefits and who is at risk? Corporations profit by turning the free labor of millions into private assets. The creators, especially independent developers and underrepresented groups, are left vulnerable. The GPL was designed to protect them, ensuring their work remains part of the commons. When AI tools ignore the GPL, they reinforce a dynamic where the powerful extract value without consequence. For women in tech, this is personal. Open source is a pathway to experience and visibility. The GPL protects that path. If companies can scrape and de-license their work, the incentive to contribute disappears. This isn't just about code. It's about digital rights, consent, and the future of creative labor. If we don't defend these principles now, what's next? The fight for fair AI is a fight for control over our own work. We must not let that control slip away. The open source community is fighting back. Developers have locked down code repositories, making them private to prevent AI scraping, even though it goes against the spirit of sharing. New AI-proof licenses are being developed to explicitly forbid training models on code without consent. Legal action is underway. Lawsuits argue that mass AI training on licensed code is copyright infringement. These cases aim to set a precedent. AI is not exempt from the law. There's also a push for transparency, demanding companies disclose their training data and offer opt-out options for creators. Developers are raising awareness, using their platforms to explain the stakes and build coalitions for ethical AI. This is a collective effort, technical, legal, and cultural. The tech community is not a monolith. It's a force for accountability. By standing together, developers are defending the values that built open source. The fight is far from over, but the message is clear. Our work, our rules. We won't be silent. At its heart, this fight is a feminist issue about labor, value, and access. Technology reflects society's biases, and women have long fought for a place in tech. Open source has offered an alternative path, where contribution can matter more than identity. But when AI models exploit open source code without consent, it disproportionately harms those who rely on this ecosystem, especially women. The GPL protects their unpaid labor, ensuring it builds a public good, not just corporate profit. Taking that labor without consent is exploitation. The teams building these AI models are rarely diverse, and their products reflect narrow perspectives. By erasing the labor and rights of creators, they reinforce old power structures. For women in tech, pushing back is about claiming space and demanding respect. License enforcement isn't just legal, it's about dignity and opportunity. The digital world must be built on consent and attribution, not corporate convenience. When women advocate for strong licenses, they're fighting for a more just industry. Their voices matter and must be heard. We're at a crossroads. The choices we make about AI and data rights will shape the digital world for generations. The issue of AI reusing GPL code is part of a larger struggle over labor, community, and ownership. We can't let corporate marketing or myths about learning drown out the real stakes. The open source movement was built on collaboration and sharing, with the GPL as its backbone. Defending it is essential for a fair, inclusive tech future. For women and marginalized groups, open source has been a ladder of opportunity, one we can't allow to be pulled up. This is a moment to speak out, support legal challenges, and demand transparency from AI companies. As programmers, we can create new protections. As users, we can educate and advocate. Innovation must not come at the cost of fairness and consent. For women in tech, this is about visibility, respect, and a say in the future. Our perspective is essential. Let's build a future where technology serves human values and empowers communities. The code we write is our voice. Let's make sure it's heard.